Never ever give up. There'll be times in your life you'll want to quit. You'll want to go home. So many people that have really hit big have gone against the tide, but you have to have great confidence in yourself. You have to be the right person. There are very few people that can pull it off, but when you pull it off, it's great. In order to be successful, and you people are well on the road to success, you have to find out what makes you excited, what makes you want to get up each morning and go to work. If you love what you do and dedicate yourself to your work, then you will gain momentum. You will gain that momentum you have to, and each success will create another success. I always tell this to people. You have to know whether or not you continue to have the momentum, and if you don't have it, that's okay, because you're going to go on and you're going to learn and you're going to do things that are great, but you have to know about the word momentum. But the big thing, never quit, never give up. Do something you love. When you do something you love as a scout, I see that you love it, but when you do something that you love, you'll never fail. What you're going to do is give it a shot again and again and again. You're ultimately going to be successful, and remember this: you're not working, because when you're doing something that you love, like I do, of course I love my business, but when you do something, when you do something that you love, remember this: it's not work. So you'll work 24/7. You're going to work all the time, and at the end of a year you're not really working. You don't think of it as work when you're not doing something that you like, or when you're forced in to do something that you really don't like. That's called work, and it's hard work and tedious work. So as much as you can do something that you love, work hard and never ever give up, and you're going to be tremendously successful. I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and in that school I met a lot of people heading industry today, and over the past, very smart people. But I've watched some of the people grow. I've watched some of the most incredible, brilliant students, and they didn't make it like other people made it, because they didn't have that drive. They didn't have that never give up ability. I don't know if it's an ability, or if you have it, just you can't quit. And I've seen people quitting, and if they would have held out longer, they would have been successful. I've seen it so much. I've seen some of the most brilliant people in the world that never made it because they were quitters. One of the most important things: never ever quit, never quit. They were just quitters. They would quit. They just couldn't take it. They couldn't. Whatever. One of the things about loving what you do is that it's not work, and therefore you don't quit automatically. It's a lot easier not to quit, but you can never give up. Now you have to also have flexibility, though. You can't necessarily say I'm never giving up, I'm going to, and you got to be able to weave and bob. You don't have to go through a concrete wall when you can go over it, or around it, or under it, or something. You have to have flexibility. You have to always be able to change course a little bit. Maybe always with that same girl, but don't quit. We're on this planet for a very, very small period of time, and achievement is something that really gives you great pleasure. And when you achieve something, that's great, but now on to the next. Very important, you keep going. I've always believed in positive thinking. At the same time, I don't want to mislead. I also believe in aspiring in terms of what you're doing, aspiring to protect against the downside. You can't just be this wonderful guy walking around everything's positive, because unfortunately that's not the way the world is. I love to tell people to think about the challenges so that when they do come along, you're ready. I was no different when I was 20 years old. Believe me, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to get out of Brooklyn. I said, "Poop, I love you, but I want to get out of Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, but I want to get out, and I love those buildings when You know I look from Queens and Brooklyn. And I'd see those big buildings, those big skyscrapers in Manhattan. I said, Pop. That's what I want to do, that's what I wanted to do. I was approached by NBC and Mark Burnett to do a show that they had entitled The Apprentice. Now I had an agent, a big agent, and he was a great agent, but I shook Mark Brett's hand and NBC was dying to do it, and they said would only do it if you do it, Trump. You're the only one we want, nobody else. So I was honored and I said, you know, okay, I'm going to do it. I knew nothing about television, nothing, so my agent calls me. I heard you accepted during The Apprentice. I won't let you do it, Jim, said Donald. In the history of television, there's never been a primetime show about business or what you're trying to do that succeeded. I said, I wish you told me that then. He said, and only 3% of the shows that go on television make it so. In other words, you're probably going to have a failure anyway, but you'll definitely have a failure. I'm your agent. I do not want you to do this show. So I said, you know, Jim, I have a problem. I shook the hand of NBC and I shook the hand of Mark Burnett. I said, I shook the hand. He said, doesn't matter, you can't do it. I said, I have to do it anyway. Time goes by, we do the show, it goes on, it starts at number 10, it goes to 8, it goes to 5 and 4, it then goes to number 2, and the following week it's the number 1 show on television. And I knew it was good cause I didn't know what the word rating meant. I didn't know is that good or bad, but I knew it was good cause the chairman of NBC called me. It was my birthday and it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and we called. He said, Donald, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Now to me, as an instinctive businessman, that means we're doing okay, right? My wife said, who was that? I said, that was the chairman of NBC. He wanted to wish me a happy. She said, darling, it's like 6:30 in the morning. So we went out and I get a call from the agent and he calls me also, but his call was like at 8. He said, Donald, congratulations, I'd like to see you. I said, Jim, what do you want to see me about? Said, well, you should just hit number 1, and if you don't mind, I think I'm entitled to a very substantial commission. I said, how much do you think you're entitled to? Well, how about $2 or $3 million? I said, Jim, you're fired, and that was it. The point is, number 1, I shook hands. I want to honor my handshake. I would have had I not shaking hand. I would have really listened to Jim. So that's important. Number 2 is sometimes in life to be successful, oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. You have to. Your parents may say wrong. Your whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. Now, speaking of that, you've got to love what you do, and I've seen so many instances where people with great talent went into things that they didn't love and they failed. I would always say to people, and I'd see people and I'd say, you got to love what you do, 'cause you know if you love what you do, you work harder. But it's not work I love. I just bought Durrell. I was telling Jerry, I just bought Durrell, 800 acres in the middle of Miami. Gorgeous. I'm so excited. I want to fix it up. I love taking things and fixing, taking things and building. I love building. I almost like fixing better. Because if you're smart, if you're really smart, you can save a lot of money when the building is there, the foundations are built, the steel is up, the walls are up, and then you know you have people say renovation cost you more money. Those are people that aren't smart people. I know that for a fact. You renovated a couple buildings here and did very well. That you could never ever do if you had to build new. If you build new, I love that too. I do it both ways, but there's something great about the V renovation practice. So you've got to love what you do. You've got to work hard, never ever quit, never ever give up, cause that's the other thing. I've seen people that are super Genius, but they don't have that gut.